Over the past year, Slay the Princess quickly became one of my favorite indie games of all time. I mean, there's just way too much to love in this visual novel. You have the beautiful artwork, captivating soundtrack, insane vocal performances, expertly crafted narratives, cute romance, gut-wrenching horror, hilarious dialogue, thought-provoking relationship commentary, an expansive range of branching routes to explore. And all this comes together to form a truly unique 10 out of 10 experience that I can't praise enough. So today, I just wanted to take some time to tell you all about the story arc in this game that ended up sticking with me the most. But before we dive in, I will have to issue a modest spoiler warning. This video will contain full spoilers for a specific route of Slay the Princess, but I will not get into any endgame discussion about what ultimately happens after all the routes are over, and I'll also keep spoilers for the other unrelated routes to a minimum, because I wouldn't want to rob new players of any more fun twists and surprises than absolutely necessary. I highly recommend checking the game out for yourself if you're able to. It's available on all current platforms, just maybe don't get it on Switch too, because in my experience, it's kinda borked on that one, at least for the time being. The game works just fine on the first Switch though. One final thing before we get started, if you enjoyed this video and want me to do more Slay the Princess content in the future, please consider sharing your support for free by liking and subscribing. It really goes a long way towards helping me share my passion for pieces of media like this with others. If this video hits 300 likes, I'll even do a ranking video for all the princesses in this game. But with all that out of the way, it's finally time to head down the path in the woods and find out what awaits us inside the cabin. The scene opens with the narrator giving us the usual spiel about the princess in the cabin, and how we have to slay her or else the world will end. We enter the front door and see a pristine blade perched on a table. This time around, we take it. And there are a few different ways you can activate this route, as well as a good deal of variety in how the arc itself can play out. But for the sake of brevity and clarity, I'm only going to be focusing in on one specific avenue today. So in this version, we don't waste any time talking with the princess and just skip straight to stabbing her. And that's that. The world-ending terror has been vanquished and everyone has been saved, right? As she bleeds out, the princess asks if you genuinely believe that simply stabbing her in the chest was enough to end her life. And if you take the bait and pull the blade out of her to make sure, she'll stab us with a hidden blade of her own, ensuring that she takes us down with her. And thus begins the tale of the Razor. Chapter 2 kicks off and we find that not only are we somehow alive, but we're also right back on the path in the woods where we started. We're introduced to the voice of the cheated, a resentful and pessimistic companion who wants nothing more than to even the score with the princess after she killed us last time. After we enter the cabin again, we find that it's become a lot more sharp and dangerous than before. We take the blade and proceed down the now jagged stairway. As we head down, we hear the princess call up from below, beckoning for us to save her, only this time her voice has a metallic and disingenuous edge to it. This tips off the voices extremely early that something is horribly wrong with her, and once we get a glimpse of her, it only confirms their suspicions. I mean, just look at her. She's got a mischievous smile, hands behind her back, and everything about her design looks just a bit more angular than last time. Yeah, this girl is throwing up red flags faster than Shy Guy in that one Mario Party minigame. We start out by telling her that we know she has a knife, but she says we haven't given her a reason to cut us open and look at our insides. We then ask her for proof she doesn't have a knife, and she shows us that she has nothing in her hands or up her sleeves. Alright, she might act pretty fishy, but that's at least a little bit convincing. After this, we offer to make peace with her, to which she says that she's not even mad at us and asks that we stop standing so far out of reach. Yeah, this version of the princess seems to have an IQ in the single digits if she thinks we're falling for this. Cheated calls out her extremely obvious ploy, and the narrator tells us to stop being spineless and slay her already. But the joke's on him, because I literally don't have a spine, so naturally I do the sensible thing and try to hightail it out of the room before we become a pincushion. But this princess is having absolutely none of that, so she says she's bored and... Oh, no. She Reveals that her arm itself was a hidden blade the entire time while lunging towards us? Nah, I've seen enough. Someone get me off this ride. It's a good thing the chain on her other arm is keeping her restrained, though. Oh, never mind. She just lopped that hand clean off so she can get us now. We try to sword fight her with our pristine blade, but she's gotten way more skilled since our last encounter with her, so the amount of intact limbs in the cabin drops by 1 for the 3rd time in the past 20 seconds. Now that we're completely out of options, the princess simply states that she's going to kill us now and runs us through with her arm blade, ending our life once more. Yeah, this isn't your run-of-the-mill damsel in distress. This is the Razor, and even in a game with as many deadly princesses as this, Razor stands tall as an absolute demon. To meet her is to guarantee your fate as a shish kebab, but facing off with her is the lot we've drawn this time around, so it's time to take her down or die trying yet again as we kick off the arms race. Chapter 3 begins and Cheated is really tweaking after Razor successfully rage baited him last time. In fact, he gets so mad that he skips part of the story and we move ahead in time to the inside of the cabin. Yeah baby, now we're talking. Razor might be a menace, but we have one ace up our sleeve that she might not be ready for. Schizophrenia. And as per usual, our death last time has added a new voice to our head, but this time around it's the fearful voice of the hunted. This guy might be a bit of a scaredy cat, but he does have top-notch survival instincts, so he could end up being a valuable asset to the team. The voice of the paranoid will also be joining us, and he has a special power, but that doesn't really come into play in this arc, so I won't get into it. Anyways, Cheated is still fuming, so he makes us take the blade while narrator gets increasingly fed up with the constant yapping from the other voices. After we walk past a definitely non-existent mirror, we head down the staircase only to find out that Razor's influence has messed up the stairs so much that they're basically a ramp at this point, leaving us to pull a Peter Griffin on the way down. We're finally face to face with Razor again, and clearly she is even more pointy and deadly than last time, so she skips right to the chase, telling us that there's no point in putting on an act since the stairs are out of commission and we can't escape. Cheated retorts that it doesn't even matter how many times she kills us because we just keep coming back, and that we only need to win once. Not that she can hear a single word of this anyways, cause Cheated is just a voice in our head. Razor reveals that this time around both of her arms are secretly blades. Maybe she took the chapter name a bit too literally. Regardless, she's getting ready to do what she does best, so the time has come for us to make a move. And that is exactly what I intend on doing, making a move on her. Now I already know you're furiously typing away in the comments saying, "Oh, but Triple S, she's a murderous psychopath with blades for limbs. You can't really be considering trying to flirt with her, right?" Well, first of all, don't think I can't recognize the second cutest character made of metal in the channel's history when I see her. Secondly, I don't know man, it's something we haven't tried yet, maybe it'll actually work. Fortunately, we have another secret trick we've saved especially for this occasion, and it's a legendary technique passed down through the ages that has come to be known as the look. Maybe you've given or received it in real life, but no matter the circumstances, whoever pulls out the look is sure to be in for either the best or worst time of their life in a matter of mere seconds. Let's hope it doesn't fail us now. We use it, and it actually works. She's into us. Everyone starts to let their guard down at this very welcome plot twist, but our victory is extremely short-lived, because right after she confesses her feelings, she hits us with this.
Still going to kill you, but now we could both enjoy a mutual romantic subtext to the murder.
Aw, come on, we were so close to having it all. But we don't have time to complain because she's already rushing towards us and we're dead. Or are we? We wake back up exactly where we died, this time accompanied by yet another new voice in our head. It's the voice of the smitten. I meant the voice of the smitten. As reality starts to go even further and further off the rails, even the narrator is having trouble keeping pace, while the Razor is just giddy that we keep trying new things to avoid getting killed. Cheated resolves to just continue fighting her and dying, because if we get enough voices through death, then maybe we can find a way to defeat her. We get to combat once more and she beats us, but we just pop right back up again like we're fighting Azrael Dreamer. With every death, we get more and more voices, giving us new strategies and experience, But Razor also gets stronger and stronger with more and more blades popping out of her to counter our new techniques. However, just when it seems like we can finally win on our next attempt, our death sends us right back to the beginning and we enter the final chapter of this version of the Razor arc, Mutually Assured Destruction. This is it. You and the Razor are both at the peak of your skills, and it's time for the two of you to settle your differences once and for all. Narrator starts his usual speech, but Cheated immediately cuts him off. This tryhard has been studying all the boss's attack patterns since he got here, and he's ready to seal the deal. We've got our mission, we've got our knife, and we've got a bunch of great friends that only show up when we don't take our meds. But honestly, at this point, it feels like the voices in our head are starting to do a little bit too much, because we're beginning to get completely absurd suggestions from them, like Contrarian suggesting we just throw our blade out the window and see if that does anything. Game developers would love to hire this man as a playtester. He would catch every last bug because there's not a single course of action he wouldn't consider. But fortunately for us, the other voices aren't big on this room temperature IQ suggestion, and the narrator tries his best to get everyone in line for the big final showdown. However, by now the other voices aren't interested in what narrator has to say, they just want to win by any means necessary. So after some more bickering, we're finally staring down the Razor for one last time. And while she's surprised that we survived our previous encounters with her, she tells us that she has a new trick up her sleeve that'll ensure we never get this chance again. Narrator is still mad at us for ignoring him earlier, so he ghosts us for a bit, but eventually reveals what Razor's trump card is, and it is nothing short of spine-chilling. We watch as her entire body erupts open and blood splatters everywhere, revealing her final form as a giant nightmarish creature made entirely of blades, with the one exception of her heart still beating in her chest. What in the Charlie Brown Christmas tree am I looking at? How are we supposed to beat this thing now? It turns out that Cheated is on the exact same page as me, because the first thing he does when he sees this monstrosity is immediately rage quit. Meanwhile, Smitten and Stubborn are both equally head over heels in love with her true appearance. Not to be outdone in terms of sheer delusion, Contrarian takes this opportunity to float his previous suggestion again, asking if we can throw her out the window. But luckily for us, there are still a few voices left that haven't completely lost the plot, like Hunted, who pinpoints Razor's single remaining weak point of her beating heart. So now, our objective is clear. We need to hit her in the heart with a single good clean strike, putting an end to our eternal struggle once and for all. However, it becomes all too clear that we'd never be able to effectively focus on fighting her with all the voices in our head yapping up a storm. So, you clear your mind, shutting out every single thought and voice within your consciousness, including the voice of the hero and even the narrator. Razor notices that you're locked in now and decides to take you seriously for a change. As she lunges towards you, you dodge using nothing but pure instinct, and Razor compliments you before the two of you enter a rhythmic exchange of attacks that continues to accelerate further and further until at last, both of you find the opening you need. Not missing a single beat, the two of you strike with perfect accuracy, delivering a fatal blow that neither of you can hope to survive, and ending the match between you once and for all in a draw as you use your last moments to watch Razor finally perish and fade away for good. Or at least, that's what would have happened to her if she wasn't snatched away by a certain someone right before she could have died. But again, for this video, I wanted to keep things a bit more grounded by just focusing on Razor and her story, and that's basically the end of the arc. There is a little bit more to her story a ways down the road in this game, but I won't be getting into that because it's super duper spoiler heavy. As for why Razor is one of my favorite routes in the game, there's no shortage of reasons why this arc slaps. Razor herself is incredibly entertaining and somehow manages to come off as cute and terrifying at the same time, while her disingenuous demeanor adds a lot of suspense to the puzzle of what she's hiding throughout the second chapter. After that, the reveal that she's a sword person seamlessly segues into the next mystery, that being how much of her is made up of blades. Nicole Goodnight's stellar voice performance really helps to bring this princess's playful and underhanded nature to life, And Abby Howard hit it out of the park when crafting her various designs and expressions, proving that even characters who are single-minded in their goals can still exhibit a wide range of emotions. I also love the natural escalation in this arc as you watch yourself and Razor get increasingly consumed with the fight, with you unraveling mentally while she unravels physically. I really do think this is one of the most well-paced arcs in the game, which is saying a lot because Tony and Abby consistently hit it out of the park when it comes to feeding the player details and plot points at a rate that fits the emotions of the story perfectly. This is also easily the funniest route in the entire game. It's just non-stop iconic and quotable lines like, "I'm going to kill you now. What if we throw it out the window?" And of course, "Behold the perfect woman." Absolute cinema. It feels like so many of the voices given life by the incredibly talented Jonathan Sims really brought their A game here despite each getting such little time in the spotlight. Except of course for the MVP Cheated, whose try-hard antics make him a really entertaining foil to the treacherous Razor. I also have to quickly commend the music because Brandon Boone's composition for the pieces used in Razor is nothing short of masterful. The unsettling atmosphere throughout this phase of the story wouldn't hit nearly as hard without those eerie strings constantly scraping at the back of your mind. It really suits the context perfectly. Now we've almost closed the book on Razor, but before we wrap it up, I wanted to give my thoughts on what I think the deeper meaning behind her story is. This arc, like every arc in Slay the Princess, is heavily up to player interpretation. But we can get a few context clues about the writer's intent from the game's overarching focus on relationships, as well as the various struggles and obstacles that can appear during them. So with that in mind, my own personal interpretation of Razor's deeper meaning is that it's about a toxic relationship where one party becomes infatuated with the idea of causing the other pain just for the thrill of it. We can see that Razor consistently enjoys every opportunity she gets to slaughter you, but she's also just as happy when you improve at fighting back or otherwise add nuance to her schemes. And the further she goes to hurt you, the more needlessly complicated and frustrating your life gets as she digs up all sorts of emotions and voices in you at once, making it increasingly difficult to resolve your differences in a civil manner. But it's not like you're exactly innocent in all of this, especially not when you're the one who drew first blood and showed a complete disregard for her and her boundaries. So as the two of you eventually become experts at ruining each other's lives, you realize that everything has become so overcomplicated that simply clearing your mind and finding the right words is enough to finally end the feud once and for all. As for whether that takes the form of getting back together with her, becoming friends instead, or cutting ties for good, that's ultimately up to you. But regardless of what you choose to do next, one thing's for sure. The Razor you knew is gone. And even though she's a peak character, her defeat and disappearance are definitely for the best. Another good piece of commentary I believe this arc handles is what it has to say about trust. Admittedly, there are other arcs that more thoroughly explore this theme, but it's definitely present here as well. The less you trust Razor, the more dangerous and less deserving of trust she becomes, creating a vicious cycle that ties back into the game's larger theme of perception shaping the people and world around you. The Razor Saga hits differently every single time I go back and play it. I always notice some neat details or new options I never considered before. There's so much depth and thought put into every possible exchange here, and to think, this is just one of the many compelling tales to be found within this masterpiece of a visual novel. Thank you so much for watching. I had a lot of fun making this video. If you want to see more Slay the Princess content in the future, then you know what to do. I'm not about to read you that cliche YouTuber spiel again. But be sure to tell me what your favorite part of the Razor story was down below in the comments, because I always love to hear different perspectives on this game's characters, stories, and messages. Also let me know which princess you'd be interested in seeing me do another video like this for, because I might do a few more of these as a warm-up if we hit the 300 likes goal for the ranking. But with that, thank you all for watching. This has been Triple S, and I'll see you next time.